Hello, nice to meet you. This is Kim Kyu-hyun from Richgo. Recently, I was selected as one of the 8 companies out of over 200 at the DCamp presentation held by the Banking Association in Busan. They made this for me, and it's so beautiful that I brought it to place in front of me while filming for YouTube. The data knows the answer. Right. There is a lot of buzz about the current real estate market. As I mentioned, the period after Chuseok is quite important, and the first data following Chuseok was finally released last Friday. Looking at this data, it may be shocking for some, but I had anticipated it. The data shows that the buying momentum in Gangnam has completely collapsed. Whether it's Gangnam or Gangbuk, the decline in Gangnam is particularly significant, as confirmed by the data. This is the latest and freshest data, and you can consider it the most up-to-date information available. So, let's analyze the market using this data on transaction and rental supply. Here you can see this is Seoul. Let's take a look at Seoul. As you can see, it has been continuously dropping, and even when we look at the first data after the Chuseok holiday, it has fallen even more compared to before. And this red color indicates a high number of buyers, but it has now dropped to the 5.8. If it is 5.8, it has dropped to about the level of the end of May. If it drops a little more from here, there will be almost nothing left. In other words, the buying momentum has completely died down. It has nearly faded away. Meanwhile, there are many sellers, and as you can see, the number of buyers indicated in red decreases first, followed by a slight increase in the number of sellers. This reflects the sentiments of homeowners, which is an unavoidable aspect. However, what is happening to the homeowners who are now trying to sell their properties? The situation is that the number of buyers is decreasing, while the number of sellers is increasing. This has been observed in the fall of 2023 and is also appearing in the fall of 2024. Of course, in the second half of 2022, it was a complete crash, but what was the driving force behind the rebounds that occurred in early January 2023 and early January 2024? It is precisely because of the government's real estate stimulus policies, such as the special insurance for housing loans, the newborn special provisions, and the increased tax exemption limits for gifts in cases of marriage or childbirth, that the market was triggered and shifted to an upward trend. Some people are saying that real estate is indeed a good investment because it tends to rise over time, and that now is still a good time to buy real estate in Seoul. I am really curious to see what these individuals will look like next year. Now, for example, in 2025, the downward trend has started again. In January 2025, the government may implement measures, perhaps introducing some special loan programs. What kind of special measures should be introduced this time? Should we consider student loans as a special measure? If the market is stimulated, there could be a rebound, but I believe the chances of that happening this time are very slim. The reason for the special measures in the past was due to the real estate PF issues, which have had a significant negative impact on the financial and construction cycles. These measures were intended to stimulate the market and buy some time to resolve these issues. Therefore, it has been stated that the PF market will be organized now. Additionally, the presidential election is over, and the government is currently facing severe fiscal challenges. Thus, I find it very difficult for the government to introduce real estate stimulus policies again, especially as the real estate market enters another downward trend. I believe that 2025 could be particularly risky, especially in the second half of the year. The detailed discussion will take place this Saturday during the Outlook lecture. There will be an Outlook lecture in the morning, and in the afternoon, there will be a special presentation of promising areas exclusively for VIP members. These are various famous areas, and I will talk about one of them. I will show you how powerful an investment can be when combined with auctions. Therefore, for those who are interested and have not yet applied, it would be good to apply quickly. So Seoul is currently not doing well, I will talk about Gangnam and Gangbuk separately a little later, so please watch this video until the end. Let's look at Incheon. Incheon, transaction supply and demand, decline. The number of sellers is rising, while the number of buyers is falling. Next, let's take a look at Gyeonggi Province. In Gyeonggi Province, the transaction supply and demand index has been continuously falling, and the number of sellers has been increasing, expanding significantly at the end of September. It has gone up, there are now more sellers, and the prices of properties have also dropped significantly. Therefore, the metropolitan area has now reached its peak. And starting from September, it is clearly confirmed by the current data that the energy is beginning to decline. Next, I mentioned before that while the metropolitan area is experiencing a decline, the regional cities are gradually gaining strength. I have said this, and I want to emphasize it, but what is true for all investments? Investment opportunities do not arise in areas that everyone is excited about. Instead, they emerge in regions that others overlook, which are currently undervalued due to a negative atmosphere. For example, let's look at Daejeon. How is it doing? It's moving upwards to the right. Next, how about Gwangju? It's also moving upwards to the right. Busan is going up as well. What does this mean? The rental supply is improving, and the upward movement to the right indicates that the demand for sales is also getting better. What about regions like Busan, Gwangju, Daejeon, North Gyeongsang, Jeju, North Chungcheong, and North Jeolla? These are typical local areas. Overall, the demand for Jeon's long-term lease has improved significantly, and it is currently building up energy for an upward trend. I believe that by sometime next year, there will be an incredible investment opportunity that comes around only once every 10 years, starting from some local areas. Additionally, I have some good news for you. At the beginning of next year, in early 2025, we are planning to open the Richgo Real Estate Academy together. So, the truth is that I have many limitations when discussing various topics on YouTube. This is because I cannot share all my know-how as many people watch YouTube. Therefore, based on Richgo's diverse big data system, I plan to start offering various related lectures from next year on how to use Richgo to secure a home and how to invest successfully in auctions through Richgo. So next year, I plan to open the Richgo Academy Real Estate Lecture Hall somewhere in Gangnam, and I will also open a real estate brokerage office next to it. I aim to create a system where many people can study based on data, discuss their own homes, and engage in real estate brokerage, building these systems one by one. And in relation to this, there are many real estate agents who possess a wealth of knowledge about the market. I would like to invite those who wish to share their expertise and insights based on data and the Richgo system to collaborate with us. It would be great to work together to provide accurate information and facts about the real estate market in South Korea, which could truly help many people with their real estate needs. So, if you look at it, some regions are currently experiencing an improvement in the Jeon's supply, gradually accumulating upward energy in the market. If you look at Sejong, the Jeon's supply is also continuously increasing. There was a conversation I had with Mr. Elian not long ago, and there may be some differences in our opinions. Based on the data, I believe that Sejong has already seen quite a significant decline. Of course, it could decline further from here, but I believe that Sejong was the first to decline and the first to rise. And while it may be the worst this time, I think there will be a very good opportunity in Sejong starting sometime next year. And the market's energy regarding this is continuously being built up as shown by the data. Now take a look at this. How is the current rental demand in Sejong? It is continuously rising, right? What does this mean? The current Jeon's supply and demand in Sejong is finally gaining strength and is rising. What happens if it goes over 100 and reaches 110 or 120? The Jeon's prices are rising. As the Jeon's prices in Sejong increase, what comes next? It can have a positive impact on transaction prices. However, right now, it's commonly referred to as divergence in the stock market. While the demand for Jeonse long-term lease is improving, the demand for buying and selling is not getting better, so it won't be easy for Sejong to improve right away. But what can we do? In fact, the rental market, which reflects the intrinsic value of actual property, continues to improve. So, if the situation in Sejong improves little by little, I believe that there will be good opportunities in Sejong. At some point next year, Kim Kyu-hyun mentioned that Daegu should improve, but for Daegu, prices rose slightly, improved in supply and demand, then fell again, and the Jeon's prices are still below 80. For this reason, Daegu is currently undervalued. And while buying through auctions is good, purchasing actual properties is not advisable right now. Wait, the data clearly shows this. Some regions are still accumulating energy, so it would be good to keep an eye on them. This time, I will break down Seoul into Gangnam and Gangbuk for separate analysis. Looking at this, how does Gangnam look? It has dropped sharply to the left. Now, the buying momentum has plummeted. Can you see how the red buying momentum has completely dropped? What is this? The buying momentum in Gangnam has completely shrunk. And look at this blue line going up. What does this mean? This indicates that there are only sellers now. Even in Gangnam, people are not selling apartments right now. Just try putting it on the market. It probably won't sell well. And it's not just Gangnam. What about areas like Gangbuk? The situation in Gangbuk is that the transaction demand continues to decline, with the number of buyers decreasing while the number of sellers keeps increasing. As I observe the real estate market, I see many truly remarkable and outstanding experts, but there are also quite a few real estate professionals who are utterly ridiculous. For example, if real estate keeps rising and everyone wants properties in Gangnam, then why do we need experts? What is the point? If we don't have to listen to those people, isn't that fine? If prices are just going up in desirable areas like Gangnam, what significance do those so-called experts on broadcasts have? Isn't that right? What is investment? The basics are buying low and selling high. What should you do in particular? You should not buy above your shoulders and not sell below your knees. This is one of the fundamental principles of investing. However, I find it very regrettable that there are no experts discussing such matters in the real estate market. It's really unfortunate. So, please refrain from broadcasting that misleads the public with your shallow knowledge and experience. I really want to say this. Please don't just talk about the accelerators. Those who also discuss the brakes are the true real estate experts, aren't they? At the offline Richgo Real Estate Academy early next year, I believe I need to cultivate not only myself but also many trustworthy real estate experts based on this data. This is essential for increasing the number of reliable real estate professionals in the South Korean market. It's not enough to just say that prices are rising or that Gangnam and Seoul, which everyone wants, are continuously increasing. What kind of expertise is that? It doesn't make sense. When I talk about supply and demand, the current situation is quite poor. However, if we look at the provinces, what do we see? The 5 major metropolitan cities and other regions are all on the rise. Energy is currently being accumulated. The market situation is improving and energy is being built up. Next, let's take a look at the transaction trends instead of supply and demand. Observe how the transactions are going. If the transactions are rising to the upper right, it means that both sales and rental prices are increasing, right? Where is this? Cheongbuk and Jeju Island. Correct. Here, it's clear at a glance that transactions are increasing the most. How about the others? Cheongnam, then Gyeongbuk, followed by Seoul, Incheon, and then Gyeonggi Province. How is it now? Transactions are completely plummeting. The number of transactions is drastically decreasing, but there are no buyers wanting to purchase, only many sellers wanting to sell. So, what happens to the prices? I mentioned that a turning point would begin in September, and it has been confirmed that this turning point started in September. After such a turning point begins, what did I say would happen to prices after a month and a half to 2 months? I mentioned that prices are going to drop. By mid-October or November, data will be available, likely by the end of October or mid-November. We will take a look at that data then. Many regions, such as Daejeon, Daegu, and Jeonnam, are experiencing a significant decrease in transaction volume. With the exception of a few areas like Cheongbuk and Jeju, what can we say about the rest? Both sales and lease transactions are completely shrinking right now. Let me summarize it again. The market is currently following the projections indicated by the data. And what did I say about the real estate market in 2024? I mentioned the terms high, medium, low before. The reason I use the term medium is because it is not a strong upward trend, which is why I referred to it as medium. I have reiterated this point multiple times. It rose in the first half of the year, and I believed that a turning point would appear starting in July when the stress DSR is implemented. But just a week before July, this was postponed to September. So I revised the forecast. It is expected that an inflection point will occur in September, and the inflection point was anticipated in September. I would like to reiterate, once again, I will provide more detailed information during my Real Estate Market Outlook lecture this Saturday, October 10th, starting at 11 a.m. But what is the overall trend? Right now, it is very similar to 2021. Do you remember what happened in 2021 and 2022? Please keep in mind that the real estate market in 2025 is very likely to show a trend very similar to that of 2022 in the metropolitan area. This concludes today's broadcast. Kim Kyu-hyun will continue to deliver objective, transparent, and prompt news on the real estate market based on data. Thank you.